people? I haven't been on here in such a long time. This is Latrice. I'm about to start tagging some of my friends, inviting you guys to come on here. I'm going to go live today, and I'm just tagging. Okay. Whoever shows up to see me, show up. But anyway, I haven't been on Facebook in quite some time, and the reason I just took a break, guys. I take a break every now and then. Sometimes I am doing things to learn. I'm learning things so that I can come on here and really be of value to you. But the reason why I had to come on here today is because I wanted to let you know, thank you. Thank you for loving me through the deepest, one of the most difficult times of my life. I just returned from Chicago. Some of you may know my dad or heard of him. His name is Purvis Fan, the blues man, and he was a pioneering giant in Chicago, which is my hometown. And my dad died actually almost 2 weeks ago. So because he was such a major force, not only in Chicago, but beyond Chicago, he was also obviously the most powerful force in my own life, and I had to say goodbye to him last week. And I know many of us are experiencing death in so many ways. We're experiencing death physically, our parents, our friends, COVID. Some of us are mourning, some of us are grieving, some of us had to let go of our old selves in order to become something new. That's a form of death. Some people are going through death through divorce. Some people are grieving in so many ways, right? And I wanted to come on here and say thank you for what you have done to support my healing. Yay! I wanted to say thank you for your love and your support. I came to Chicago in honor. Thank you for the love, guys. Really, thank you for the love. I came to Chicago to be with my family, to pay tribute to the most important force in my life. And what I mean by that, my father was all things love to me. Okay, now I don't know who he was to anybody else. Oh God, thank you, Peggy. And I'm receiving love and light from you, Peggy. Thank you, thank you. But he was all things love to me. And I had to figure out how to be courageous enough to go through this moment, both privately and publicly. Hey, Erica, so good to see you too. And now I am joining with many of you. I'm joining a community of people who've had to say goodbye to their loved ones, right? I'm joining a community of people who have to live Earth without perhaps the person that meant the most to them, and they have to figure out how to walk this earth without them. So now, because he was who he was in our life as a father, he was my first spiritual teacher, he built an awesome legacy. What do you do when you are legacy? When you have a legacy, and all of us have a legacy. Whoever poured into you didn't pour into you for you alone. That life that was there to guide you through your path, that life that was there to be the gardener, to give you water and sunshine and to provide principles and tools and wisdom for your life. When they leave this planet, we are to do something with it, right? So when I was at my father's funeral, sitting there, in the front pews of watching all of these people speak so highly of what he did, I began to see him in a different light. He was more than just my father. I knew even before going to Chicago, when it was my time to pay tribute to him, that I wanted in a very short amount of time to show you what God did, because God is still doing it. And what my father did was, over time, I watched a man allow himself to be used for a greater purpose. He did not add up coming from nothing, coming from absolutely nothing. What I shared during my tribute to him, guys, is that this man grew up in one of the poorest towns in the United States, probably maybe in the world, right? One of the poorest. He took the very little that he had and what he was given and tried to make something of it. And he did. And I'm seeing people come in and share stories of a woman came up to me, and this was part of my healing. This is why I know that unconditional love is the most powerful force and source of life and energy on this planet. Because I can't take a pill for my grief. I can't run away from the fact that my heart is hurt. But because I received so much unconditional love from my community, it empowered me and gave me life. And here's what I mean by that. There was a woman who had been listening to my father on the radio for many, many years. And thank you, everybody that watched him. Thank you, everybody who received him. Thank you, everybody who laughed at him. Thank you, everybody who ever turned on WVON, whether it was on 1450 or 1690, and you allowed his spirit to touch yours, okay? I want you to understand, he loved Chicago so much, he never took a vacation. I thought he was addicted to Chicago. He loved Chicago that much. He loved the people of Chicago so much. So this woman had come to my father's wake, or viewing, I should say, on, that was Tuesday at AR Lee. I'd never seen her a day in my life. She actually flew in somewhere to come to pay tribute to him. She shared that her son had gone to jail. And he was wrongfully accused of, he had taken his friends, drove his friends to the store. His friends went in there and did some shoplifting. I guess they got caught. And because he was the driver, he was arrested, taken to jail. She called WVON. My father so happened picked up the phone. And when she told him the story, he said, let's go get him. Now, I don't know if my father knew what he was doing, but he felt confident enough that when he walked down there, that they were going to do something about it. The lady said my father met her at the jail, walked in, paid for her son to be released, got him out. Now, that story never hit the airways. That story never came to my household. That was the first time I've heard it. But she blessed me so much with it because she gave me a piece of him that I didn't know about. But as someone who has inherited legacy, because legacy is not just money, it's not just a radio station, it's not just what he did. Legacy really is what he was made of. I said, wow, I gotta do better. Wow, that's unconditional love. And when she shared that with me, a part of myself in receiving it was so inspired by the fact that a woman would come so far to pay tribute. She could have watched it on WVON, on Vaughn TV. She could have heard the services on the station, Or she just could have ignored it, or she could have just, she had a whole lot of things she could have did with that information, but she came to pay her respect. She came to wish us well. She shared that story of unconditional love, and it healed a part of me. And ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to come on today because I haven't been on in a very long time. I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you for the text. I want to say thank you for the flowers. I want to say thank you for the love. Because not only did he, meaning my father, pour into you in his own way, simple way of doing so, whether it was with laughter, whether it was with, playing good music, whether it was entertainment or, whatever it was. Maybe you had a bad day and you turned on the television or you turned on the radio and he cracked you up. It all matters. All of that matters. You received it. You received it. So as he gave it, you received it. And in receiving that, your life, your experience in that moment, maybe your perspective, something got better. Something got better. And what I want to help you guys understand is that what you taught me again and have confirmed again is that we are all one. We are all one. And millions of people today, on this very day with me, are grieving losses. Grieving losses. And sometimes all you need to help you get through that time is someone who will have compassion for you, share a story of love, hope, and faith, pray with you and for you, because we can't do anything to bring our loved ones back, but this is how you keep them alive. This is how you keep them alive. I went through the most difficult time of my life, but I went through it with you, holding myself and my family up in the process. And I'm not going to take that for granted. I'm not going to ever take that for granted. Because at the end of the day, some of you might be feeling what I'm feeling today. And that's how to get through, how to walk through the valley of the shadow of death. And I tell you how you get through it. You get through the valley of the shadow of death, finding light and being light. My father taught me on his time on earth, consciously and unconsciously, what unconditional love is. And what I realized when I came back last night and I got in from Chicago and I just sat back for the first time tonight. Today has actually been my first time that I've had to just deal privately with his absence, deal privately with the fact that he died, deal privately with walking planet Earth without him, because we've had so many people around us and loving us through it and supporting us through it. So this is my first day, really, taking all of this in, right? And as I sat back on my first day, truly processing life without my tree here, which is my father. I'm a fruit from his tree. I realized that in my role as legacy, as inheriting who he was, is to teach unconditional love. Because that's what did it. Unconditional love somehow motivated Al Sharpton to fly in and speak at his funeral, in between all of the other stuff. Because as Al Sharpton said at my father's funeral, when very few people were talking to him in Chicago, because Al Sharpton wasn't the MSNBC Al Sharpton as he is today. He was in another stage in his life where people turned their back on him, where people were talking about him, where it wasn't cool to be with Al Sharpton. He could pick up the phone and talk to my father, and my father didn't see any of that in Al Sharpton, and he had his back. What kind of man could have Reverend Jesse Jackson come from, who is obviously at this time in his life, he is growing through health challenges. He is busy because he always has been. But what kind of man would have the sort of power that Reverend Jackson, could fly in from wherever he was on the planet, serving somebody else and say, I must be here no matter what. I'm going to make space to be here. Was that my father completely? It was the love that Reverend Jackson experienced in that relationship that says, I got to be here. What kind of man would have a very dear friend of our family fly in from Las Vegas, arrive at 4 a.m., still come to the funeral with very little sleep, with very little time to rest, still come in and be there? Only way we are motivated without allowing any excuses to stop us is when you have experienced unconditional love and you have received it. See, some people, let me just tell y'all this. I came on here because my father gave me freedom when he died. He didn't realize he was setting me free. Thank you so much, Antoine. That's my cousin. He didn't realize he was setting me free. I thought I was free before he died. But it wasn't until he died that I really understood completely what his assignment was here on the planet. Thank you so much, Lamont. Thank you. I received your love. I received your love. Lamont, I remember you have a love of music just like I do. My father had a love of music, guys. And let me explain something to you about the power of music. Do you know most of us right now, the reason why you have come to know me or my sister Melody or my father or WVON is because of the power of music. See, my father was a spiritual teacher, ladies and gentlemen, and how he didn't realize he was. I mean, God will use who you will put it this way. God will use anything to get the glory. Okay? You just have to be available. My father was available to be used by God. That's what made him powerful. While everybody else was taking all of their steps, he was following his steps. He was following the gifts of the Spirit. And what made him so powerful is that he did not allow man. He didn't worship man. He only worshiped God. Now, that doesn't mean from a religious standpoint that I'm not saying his name was Purpose Man the Blues Man. So holy and blues don't necessarily always line up. But he lived his life between blues and gospel. And I mentioned that during my tribute to him because really blues music for people at the time who did not have anything. We didn't have life coaches to deal with slavery. My father was second generation out of slavery. We didn't have 2 generations. You think he may have been impacted? Of course he was. Everything is passed down. He had inherited a legacy of trauma from slavery just like the rest of us. He was just 2 generations out of it. Music was used to cleanse the soul. Blues and gospel. And it was powerful enough to inspire us and cleanse us. Hey, Veronica, I love you too. Thank you. He made his mark on the world, Veronica, because God chose him and he allowed God to work through him. Because Purvis, as many of you all know him, some know him as Blues Man, you had your own nickname from him depending on where you met him in life, was as humble and as regular as you could be. The man was 100% a person who, he had the gift of I don't give a damn. He lived authentically. He didn't, listen, let me just explain to you the genius behind my dad. My dad never truly left Mississippi. And he took it everywhere with him. He took it to Chicago in the South. He took it to downtown Chicago. He took it up north. He didn't change the way he talked to make you accept him. Because at the end of the day, he did not worship the things of this world. And what he did, how he touched people, is with unconditional love. And music was kind of like this unifying force, as it still is. It was a unifying force that brought us all together. And the other thing he did was, in his own way, at that time, he talked to women who needed a conversation with a man about life. He didn't allow any man to call. He wanted to be the only one talking to women. Kind of sound like Steve Harvey of his day, right? And that was what made him popular. But he also created entertainment experiences that people enjoyed themselves, to make people think about forget about their problems for a little bit. Crack people up when you needed to laugh. Laughter and music are healing to the soul. And I saw him as a soul scientist. Maybe that's why he crowned Aretha Franklin the Queen of Soul, because he understood that the soul was a major part of who we are, and it needed to have healing. And music was used as a form of healing. Blues was a way in which we had to detox the poisons of life. The poison, if you are of color in particular, your life largely was based in struggle, trauma, struggle. And then at the end of the day, many people were, unfortunately, they didn't have love. Just like you see out here in these streets right now. Listen, guys, the key to what I learned from my father, and the key of what I learned from you, and actually what made me want to get on here today. I didn't put too much makeup on. I wasn't here to impress y'all with what I look like. So you better not, if you're judging me right now, you are not giving me unconditional love. I didn't put any effort into, it wasn't about me today. And quite frankly, it's really not about me anytime I get on here, which is why I don't get on here all the time, because I want to be able to provide substance. I want to be able to provide something that can be helpful to your life. What I wanted to do today is say thank you for the unconditional love you gave me, because it has been healing to my soul through the roughest time of my life. Okay? I want to thank my family of friends, WVON, people who we have been blessed enough to touch, and people who we don't know but just ride or die with us. Thank you. Your prayers, your well wishes, your energy, your love, your gifts, we receive them so fully, and it is being used to heal our family. Please continue to pray for my mother. My mother, for those of you who are prayer warriors, and even if you're not prayer warriors, if you just believe in wanting more for other people, okay? I want you to lift my mother up because she was married to a man for 67 years. My mother married my dad at 17. She gave her life to honoring him as a marital partner, to raising his children, that was her assignment. And he's gone now. And I don't want her to give up. I'm not ready to release my mother. I'm just not. I'm just going to be real with you. And sometimes when we feel like our assignments are over, and particularly when you're 89 years old, you feel like, okay, I don't want to live, right? And I think that prayer is powerful, more powerful than anything on this planet, because you are a spiritual being. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. And while there are certain things that separate us once we hit this 3D reality, our looks may separate us, our culture may separate us, sometimes our language may separate us, our views and opinions and beliefs about life can certainly separate us. What cannot separate us is that we are spiritual beings, right? And if we can unite in that spirit of prayer, that's how we can shift a lot of what's happening. So I'm just asking if now you can pray for my mother, for her heart to heal, and for her to be inspired to want to be here, because we need her. Pray for WVON. Thank you, Peggy. Prayer warriors on duty. I'm giving warriors something to pray for because my father is an archangel. So I'm not even... Physically, I had to separate from him about 10 years ago because Alzheimer's does that, right? So in order for me to truly feel him, I had to learn to become spiritually aware and connected. And I could hear, believe it or not, I could hear my father guiding me in his state of Alzheimer's. That's the power that we have when you are a spiritual being. So while I had to shed him physically, I now have all of him, right? Now I have all of him, right? As a spirit. My deepest, thank you, Donna. And let me just tell you, Donna, the Leak family, I can't say enough about y'all family, sweetheart. I love you, your husband, your mother-in-law, your father-in-law, all the kids. I love Leaks that I don't even know. Because Stacy, all of them. Because when my family leaves the planet, I don't know if my father and the Leak family had this agreement that they would take care of all of us through the transition of death. But they have taken care of all of my family through the transition of death, and probably thousands upon thousands of people in our community. And the way that the Leak family honored my father, what he looked like in his casket, the presentation of this process was done so beautifully. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for that, Donna. And I love you and your family and wish the best for you. So, as I'm bringing this to a close, because guys, I feel like I'm rambling, but I probably needed to, so just love me through it. I'm processing this with you. What I realize is that love is what we have to have in order to change the conditions of this world. And I don't mean to be a cliche. I don't want this to become a cliche so much that people don't hear it anymore. What I'm saying to you is that we have to love. Not only do we have to love, we have to know what love is in order to give it. So what I am going to do, as a tribute to my father, both in heaven, Purvis Spann, the blues man, and the source of where we come from, I want to teach unconditional love through my coaching, through my nursing, just in life. Because that's what a attracted you guys to him, whether you knew it or not. And I believe that if we do a better job of knowing what that is, how to execute it, how to demonstrate it, the power of it, it can change the conditions of ourselves. You will be in a state of wholeness and wellness when you know how to love unconditionally. You can change your entire family. My brother, many of you guys do not know this. My oldest brother was honored at my father's tribute because he took care of my father to his last breath. That was a vow that they made to each other. However, my brother and my father's relationship had been broken for many years. They had not talked. It was the most contentious time in our family because of that dynamic. And the very man who probably vowed it, both of them, because they both are stubborn. Both of them probably said, I'm not going to ever deal with him again. And it was all kinds of things said, right? But I was a little girl. But I watched how that dynamic played out in my household of unforgiveness, and it poisoned everything. It was not until both of them surrendered their pride. It was not until both of them had to grow past their beliefs around who was right or wrong. It wasn't until both of them decided to do what God would have them to do. Don't tell me you love Jesus. Don't tell me you love Jesus and you're not willing to forgive. I don't even want to hear it no more. I don't want to hear it no more, because if you don't understand who Jesus was and his purpose, he came here to teach us how to forgive. Because when you don't forgive, death will take place. And death took place in my family for years and years and years because pride, I'm right and you wrong. Pride stood in the way. And when my father was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and when my brother hit one of the roughest patches in his life, my father picked up the phone and called my brother. And there was a conversation that was had where forgiveness saved the relationship. And my brother vowed, where he gave 15 years of his life every day, making sure my father was fed, dressed, went to all of his medical appointments. This was a man that my brother probably hated because he thought he did him so wrong. My father, on his worst days, looked better than some people that was walking the planet with all of their mental and faculties in order. On his worst day, that's how well he was taken care of. And he honored him to the day he died. But guess what had to take place for him to honor him? Forgiveness. Forgiveness. So I'm going to come on from time to time, or as often as God asks me to, because I'm not coming on here unless God tells me to. Because when I show up, I got something to say. We're right now observing some of the most crazy stuff that's happening in the world. And all they need for the prescription, they don't need another law. You don't need another damn gun. You don't need another conversation about it. We all see the problems. Your children see that the world is messed up. We don't have to keep talking about it. We don't have to keep focusing on the problem. What we need to do is focus on the prescription for the problem. And that's unconditional love. And just say you don't know what it is or how to do it, because that's fine, because I didn't either. I mean, I was taught. I was taught, but I had to also go on I had to build on what I was taught. I'm human like everybody else. Forgiveness was not an easy thing for me. I am a woman that with an ego. And if you're going to do unconditional love the right way, you're going to have to surrender the one thing that's blocking you from giving it and receiving it, and it's your ego. And that is what my father taught me. And that relationship with my brother, they didn't realize that they were the biggest and most, thanks for loving the words about your mom. Oh, thank you so much, Marie. I love you. Marie Martin, you're right. You were our neighbor. Yes, come, please. For those of you who know my mother was a caretaker for a lot of people. She could cook like nobody's business. My mother could cook. Baby, Purpose fan, I told you, he understood the soul. And what he also understood was that good food was necessary to heal the soul. So he found a woman who could cook the best food, tasting food. Now I am about helping you find food that's good for your body. I want to help you find food that's good for your body and tastes good. But she's a loving woman, and I'm just asking for everybody to pray for her through this time as she's processing the death of her life partner for 67 years. I want her here on the planet, and your prayers and your love can help her to do that. And what I am also saying to you is that I want to help you on your road and your journey of us healing our families, healing our community, doing the things that's necessary for us to heal the conditions of the world. Because what I learned about WVON, see, some things change and some things, baby, stay the same. But what I also am learning is that all things come full circle. We're in a full circle moment. And a lot of times you hear about WVON, the old WVON, which was what my father was a part of. That's what we're celebrating, all of what they did. Well, guess what? We got the same problems they did then. We have the same problems. So we can bring the same solution and really create and change this reality. We can create a new reality. What the old WVON had was a team of guys called the Good Guys. They were good guys that deposited good in the community. And the community grew and was transformed by what they deposited. What did they deposit in Chicago at the time when Chicago needed it most? They were a part of a time when Chicago needed a game change. God put goodness in the land. He put goodness in the land. Unconditional love in the land. And there was a team that my father was a part of called the Good Guys that God had aligned to do that. So out of all I have learned in my life personally, from nursing school, all of the medications that's out here on the market about curing all of the stuff or fixing stuff or helping you get through health challenges, all of the training I have received in over 20 plus years, modalities teaching wellness and healing. Let me tell y'all what can only heal you. Now, all this other stuff might fix you. Fixing and healing is all the way different, okay? The only thing that can heal you, that means you, your physical body, your mind, heart, and soul. The only thing that's going to heal your family if there is some dysfunction, okay? Only thing going to heal your family if there is some dysfunction. The only thing that's going to heal your pocket if it's out of alignment. The only thing that's going to give you health and wholeness. The one thing that we have to learn how to do, the prescription for wholeness in this life, is not a new car, not a bigger house, not more money, nothing materially. Nothing materially is the prescription. Not another politician, whether whose side it's on, not another part of legislation. Those things that fix, they don't heal. The only thing that can heal is unconditional love. That's why I'm not broken right now. I received so much unconditional love in Chicago that it has helped to heal my soul. My father had the best caretaker in his life. My brother who he had the most contentious relationship with for a period of years. Everyone who knows us closely knew it. The only way he was able to get taken care of to the day he died at that level is because they were willing to surrender their egos, forgive whatever needed to be forgiven, and get back to the business of unconditional love. Now, y'all might think I'm crazy. You might think I'm oversimplifying. You might think you don't even believe it. That's not my problem, whether you believe it or not. I'm telling you the truth. I hope you accept it, because if you have a problem, that is the only thing that's going to help us get past it. So what I am going to do in honor of my legacy, in honor of my love for life, people, and God, is come on here and help us to heal problems, heal ourselves, heal the conditions of our world, heal our community together by helping one understand how you can use unconditional love in your life to solve your problems. Okay? And I'm going to do it with music. I'm going to do it with fun, and I'm going to be as authentic as I possibly can. And today's lesson is, if you want to really start walking in this walk, first of all, you have to say, I'm willing to learn how to do this. Maybe you didn't have a right demonstration in your family household to show you. Let me tell you this, no one's perfect with it. We're all on this healing journey. My father wasn't perfect with it. But over time, I observed it. What he taught me, I built on it. And he showed me in his walk the power of it. Really. Some of the most powerful global people in the world was at his funeral, or sent proclamations acknowledging him. And all of these great things he did, he only did it because unconditional love. So, that's all I have to say. Thank you for hearing me. Thank you for commenting. Hey, Jewel. Thank you so much, Jewel, for the love. Pray for us, our family, as we get through this. I'll pray for yours. If you're currently dealing with death, if you're in a season of death right now, I want to show you how we can get through this together, because death also brings about new life. It brings about new life. And maybe this is what, and I told you, I mean, early on, when my father died, I think a part of me became free, because now I feel like in a way, the way of honoring him and carrying on his legacy is to show the world what he was really made of, and use that to continue to build, love, unite, and empower our human community. That's my nickname, Blue. So, Purvis Fan, the Blues Man, I decided my nickname is Blue. Build, love, unite, and empower. That's what we're here to do. That's what I'm going to help us do through my own way. And I love you. I really, truly do. Thanks again. Okay, guys. Have a good day. And hey, Michelle. She said, hey, Coach. That's right. Let's get this work done. We want to be about life coaching. You can't be a good coach, life coach, and you don't teach unconditional love, because that's what you're here to do. If you're on earth right now, currently on earth right now, your job is to go wherever you're supposed to go, to work, to school, wherever, and you need to move into a state of unconditional love and take it into that space. Give it away. It costs you nothing. It will return everything to you. I promise you that. And the reason why that is the formula, because you were made from unconditional love. You came into a human vessel, and now you are being asked to return to what you really are. And when you return to who you really are and you start giving that out, people can't take countries from other people. If we had more unconditional love on the planet, we would not be sitting up looking at Ukraine and Russia in the state that it is today. Because unconditional love, that can never happen when you have unconditional love on the planet. Okay? Can't happen. So the biggest weapon against that is becoming the polar opposite. All goes back to that. Okay? All right, guys, I love you. I'm about to go take a walk. Me and my dad used to love to walk in the mornings. He would walk like at least 5 miles a day. Purvis walked at least 5 miles a day. At least. Which meant he walked a lot more than that. And I was his road dog. I used to walk with him and we would talk and enjoy each other. So I'm about to go walk and talk to my dad. All right? Okay, guys, have a good day. I hope this was helpful. I hope it did whatever God wanted it to do, quite frankly. I hope God used my voice to help you. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the love. I receive it, and I hope you know that I'm giving you mine. Okay? All right. Bye, y'all. Love and light.